Hi and welcome back to the Evolution of Success podcast. On today's show we have Natalie Ledwell, founder of Mind Movies and best-selling author. I met Natalie back in 2015 and I'm really blessed and glad that I did. Natalie also featured in the Evolution of Success and I'm very fortunate to now call a dear friend. On this week we have took the opportunity to reach out to some of the greatest thought leaders in the world, and I'm really delighted now to be speaking to Natalie. So Natalie, thank you so much for joining us.
My absolute pleasure, darling. Just so happens I happen to be at home.
I know that's the thing, we're all at home right now, it's crazy. And it's funny, whenever this has happened, I have found myself reaching out to all of the people that were in the Evolution of Success that I have turned to guidance at different times throughout my life and just wondering, is this real? What is going on? How are you reacting to this? And it's been funny to see it like a domino effect in different parts of the world where people have been catching up or some people have been way ahead. Where are you at in that?
Well, I live in the US, so it's a very interesting situation over here. I think that the federal government here took a long time to, start talking about it, start taking any action. And they're already talking about, relieving and getting people out of quarantine within a few weeks by Easter because they don't want the economy to tank more than it already has. But they're doing that not knowing how that's going to affect the lives of people in America, which is very disturbing. We have some, more local, like the mayor of LA and the governor of California and the governor of New York. So we have some clear voices in the din, which has been great. That's giving us some specific, actions to take. But it's really been a time where we've had to really look at taking some self-responsibility. So regardless of what's happening out there, making our own choices and choosing to be responsible for ourselves and having our own governance rather than waiting for the government to tell us what to do. Which has been interesting, which is what I've been talking a lot about with my community. It's like, guys, you've got to look after yourselves. We can, and I, as I teach a lot of law of attraction, and people are like, everything will be okay. I go, yes, it will be okay. And we'll be looked after. I go, yes, and take action.
Well, that's what we always talk about, that the law of attraction only works if you take action. And if you look at that in a positive way and you're like, I want this, what can I do to get there? Okay, I want to be safe. What can I do to keep me safe? So it's the same thing.
Yeah, well, and I think the thing is too, like, I've been doing a live Facebook broadcast every day, and I did one last week, and someone's like, I'm thinking, like, my thoughts are that I'm healthy, that everything's, that I'm going to be fine, that I'm isolating, or so that I can, so I'm isolating, so I'm going to be great. I go, yes, and make sure that you have supplements. Make sure you've got plenty of water. Make sure that that you have nutritious food. Make sure that you have all of these other things as well. But the thing is, if you are thinking that that you are in perfect health and that that you are going to be great, then what that should automatically do is influence your actions. If we're thinking positively, we don't just think positively and sit on the couch and cross our fingers and hope everything's going to be okay. The reason that we think these positive thoughts and, look at our, positive affirmations is so that it influences the actions that we're taking, so that those actions are also in alignment with the thoughts that we're thinking.
Yes, I totally agree. And, we're hearing so much stuff throughout the media. I've tried to turn off the news. I'm looking at it for a small period of time a day because there is stuff that we do need to know throughout this time, how rapidly it's growing in different countries and how rapidly it's growing in your own country. But there is nothing about supplements, about anything that you can do. There's nothing about anything at all, and this is what I'm saying is like, so what are you taking? So if someone's out there and they aren't hearing it from anywhere else, what would you recommend that people should take?
Definitely vitamin C. Make sure that you have that in the house. And I think it's like 1,000 milliliters, whatever it is that you have to take every day. I'm taking iodine supplements. I'm taking vitamin D. And I'm also have got hold of some sylvoid, some not colloidal, but it's nano-sylvoid. Which I can put into like a nasal thing that will help to clear out any viruses or bugs or anything in my nasal system. I do have a nebulizer, because, what we do know about the virus is that when it does attack, it really does attack your lungs and your breathing apparatus. So I've got something to, if that happens, that I can actually help with that. So yeah, and I have friends that are in the health industry that I'm talking to, regularly. And like I said, I'm just taking self-responsibility. A girlfriend of mine sent me a screenshot this morning, and it was, this graph that was on Fox News this morning, saying how it's going to diminish, how the cases are going to diminish, and showing, how, everyone's going to be it basically, it was the scariest thing I've ever seen, because it was really saying, look, it's okay if the cases are going to diminish and it's going to be fine, but this is not the case. And so what's dangerous?
Well, not right now. It's not going to do it right now. At some point, yes, brilliant. It's going to do it. But right now, it's no, not at all. And that's the thing. I'm in Northern Ireland, and I just travelled up from Dublin a couple of weeks ago. And, Dublin and the Republic of Ireland, they did really take it seriously. They have been putting people on social distancing. They closed the pubs and the bars a couple of weeks ago, or over a week ago. And I was so glad to see that happen. And whenever I was watching it on the news, Daniel, who works with me very closely, was travelling back to Chicago to go home and see his family. And I was thinking, God, it is crazy over there at the minute as well, because they weren't taking it seriously at that point. He hadn't even booked his flight to get home. He ended up getting the very last flight that flew out of Ireland. He was on it.
I know. Well, my family in Australia are the same. Last week, my dad was still going to the grocery store. And I think this week, every other day, I'm like, Dad, you please get enough for at least a week. And it's like, no, we don't know what we're going to... I'm like, you don't understand. He goes, well, I'm not touching anyone. I go, Dad, it is airborne. This is how, so there's not a lot of information there. And what's really interesting in this, and this is what I've noticed, is that people are they have a certain way of life and a certain thing, especially here in the US. I mean, we are so spoiled here. Come on. I don't have to leave the house. I can have everything delivered. My meat, my fresh fruit and vegetables, my groceries, wine, anything I need. It can be delivered. But, and I saw this post of a woman the other day who was, at her wit's end. She's like, I can't get baby wipes where, my child, look at my child's, bottom, and it was all red raw. And I'm like, darling, have you heard of soap and water? What do we do before baby wipes? And I think we've got used to this certain type of a lifestyle and certain way of doing things, but this is really helping us to reevaluate how we consume things, how we waste things, what it is that we're using that is unnecessary, and having to retrain ourselves for I think more lifestyle changes that are more in alignment with the environment and saving the environment and saving the planet. And the thing is, we should be on lockdown for at least a month. I think if anyone has got any sense in their mind that they should plan to be locked down for a month. Now, a month is long enough to be able to change the way that we think and change our habits, to something that is more in alignment with, the betterment of the planet and each other.
Yeah, I agree on that. And again, going back to what you teach, all of this stuff is how to change your thoughts and how to really support that for people moving forward if they want to make a big, massive change in their life. I know that with Mind Movies, it is brilliant the amount of people that you've actually served over the years and supported and brought to a new place in their lives. So for someone now who's now thinking they've already started to change their thought and they've tuned into this, but they've never heard of it before, what is a nice sort of intro to them, just for them to realize that, yes, there is something different?
Well, I mean, especially with Mind Movies and visualizing, because, in essence, a Mind Movie is like a digital vision board. It's a visualization tool. And one of the best things that we can do, or one of the, great things that we should be incorporating into our routines and our daily practices now that we're at home, I call it delightfully housebound. I don't like to say quarantine or isolation because it's kind of a lower frequency words, like delightfully housebound. I've upped my meditation practice. I'm meditating twice a day now.
Yeah.
But what I'm really encouraging our community to do is see what life is like on the other side of this. the more that we focus on all the panic and the scarcity and the freak out that's happening right now, the more we're creating more of it. We'll have, and I did this to myself last week. Last Thursday, I spent way too much time on the news, and I felt awful. I woke up Friday just feeling really low. And then I had to, I went into my meditation, and thank God for my meditation, because when you can connect to, that God, the universe, and and you connect to that love, you're like, I'm remembering what's possible now. And so then I was able to go through my day. But we've got to shift our focus from that into the great possibilities of what can come out of this. The things that are happening on the other side of it. And really seeing ourselves in health and seeing ourselves, with vitality and energy, and being more positive.
Both of us, and I know this from long chats over having a glass of wine, and then whenever I stop drinking after, over a non-alcoholic beer. But I know that we have been through a few crashes. We've come out the side of a few, economic downturns and major changes in your life. And I know we've never faced anything like what's going on right now, and not trying to say that at anything, but the first time you think about the first time you went through something where you were like, oh my God, I have to become somebody different, how fearful that is and how scary that is. But then then whenever it starts to happen, the enjoyment and the excitement that comes from it, and then you're thinking, why didn't I do not? Now you come into it and feel, I'm looking forward to seeing what this brings, because it's going to bring opportunity, at the other side. And that's kind of, apart from all of the, I don't know what anybody who's directly affected by this must be going through, especially two guys who work for me, Simona and Dario. They're from Italy. They're just from the next village, from Turin, so their family is really scared them in, and they've been trying to sort of help them and advise them as best as they can. And, they are coming through it, and they are feeling much better now.
Yeah. And I've really reevaluated and I've set up a Facebook page called The Daily Gathering, which I go live on every day. And every 2 days we'll post a frequency raising activity. So something that people can do that's going to help to raise their frequency. The one at the moment is what are you doing differently? How are you thinking differently or doing things differently? I'm looking at how I'm reaching out to my family more regularly. I'm looking at how I'm, my wastage, how I'm, batching my deliveries together so that I'm, putting less stress on the delivery drivers, and on the roads and on the environment. I'm looking at all these different ways that I can do things that are more in alignment with who I want to be and how I want to represent myself. And, and for the betterment of everybody, we're connecting with our neighbors more. These acts of kindness that I'm seeing happening all over the place. I had my neighbor text me yesterday. He goes, one of my neighbors left some strawberries. Was it you? And I went, no, it wasn't me, but I'll take credit for it.
And where I am at the minute is 27 floors, or 24 floors. I think it's one of the tallest buildings in Ireland, and there is about 10 apartments or 8 apartments on each floor. On every single door, there is a small bit of paper that's been ripped off and a sticker on it saying, if you need anything, call me, with their mobile number. Now, this wasn't done by management. This wasn't done by, an organisation. This is done by someone within the building. And I'm going to text them and say thank you very much for that, I appreciate the thought. But there is random acts of kindness from people who definitely do not know, everybody in this building, but they're doing what they can, and I do feel last week we have a Bankhouse media podcast as well, and last week Sharon and myself went on to it, who works for me, and we went on and said, look, any organisation that is on the front line, that is a delivery service, that is helping anything connect people, we offer our services for free. We will build websites, we will build whatever you need if you need any support digitally. And we have had some people reach out to us, and we've actually reached directly out to organisations, and I would just be delighted to. That's what I want to do, that's the thing that has to happen, and it is great to see.
I believe that this is a massive reset. It's a big reset. And I'm hoping that what it will do is create some more, connection and collaboration here in the US. Between the political parties, there's a lot of division here. which is very difficult. Although what I just saw this morning just like drive me crazy, Ben. But talk about the great equalizer, and not equalizer as in, because there are, honestly, I every day am grateful. I'm grateful that I have this business. We're online. I have a certain amount of means, which means that I can still eat. I can still, I'm living comfortably. I can, have supplements and do all of those kind of things. And there's a lot of families who, are living paycheck to paycheck, and so, this experience for them is going to be different to what my experience is. Honestly, there's not much change to my lifestyle because I work from home anyway. I live by myself. Although I am using this time productively, and I give myself challenges. Like last week, I won't tell you what one was last week. It was an internal cleansing kind of a situation, so we won't go into that. But
okay, well, actually, Natalie's got her own podcast that goes into a lot of internal cleansing and stuff. So we'll maybe pick that one up. You'll maybe go talk about that one on your own podcast.
Exactly. This week is the no drinking. Next week it'll be focusing on exercise. And all these things, I have a list of all the stuff that I've been wanting to do around the house that I kind of mark off, and it makes me feel, accomplished. But then I also go, okay, well, if I get that done, then this is what my reward's going to be. If I get this done, this is what my reward was going to be. Now, like I said, I'm at home anyway. Like, it's not like my lifestyle's changed, but all of a sudden I'm sort of switched into this, well, how can I, be more empowered? How can I feel like I'm in control or in charge of what's happening right now? And really being able to positively influence my day and my energy.
Yeah, and I think that is brilliant, and I think that's a really good place to sort of leave it, and for someone to take it from is set challenges. Do you know what I mean? Take your vitamins when you can, and if you can, and do if you're in a place right now that you have never even been online. YouTube. If you can get onto YouTube.com and you type in anything, how to order off Amazon, how to order food, how to figure, if you're really a novice in like going online, how to on Google will pretty much tell you everything that you need to do, and phone numbers and helplines and everything like that. It is on there. It's great. And, availing of all these services right now, like delivering your stuff, you can do it. And yeah, soap and water. My mom said something similar actually the other day. She said, so everybody's talking about the alcohol in this stuff and the hand sanitizers. She said soap and water, warm water and soap. That's what you do. So my knuckles are actually like bleeding because
my hands are all dry from the soap.
No, that seems really. Well, Natalie, I will be tuning into your live. And again, Natalie has a podcast which everybody should check out as well. It's really brilliant listening and very informative of different things that you get up to. I love it. I told you that before. I voice memmed you after the first one. And thank you so much for coming on, Natalie. And I will speak to you again soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Matthew.